Hi guys, I'm Shmi, and today I'm continuing my new series of videos with Pendle Leasing, where we're taking a look at some more real-world, attainable, exciting cars. Now, for the first video with Pendle, we shot the Mini JCW. That was sort of inspired off the back of my recent purchase of the Focus RS, and today we're with VW with two of their performance hot hatches that I'm going to be taking a look at today. The first will be the Mark 7 Golf GTI, and then we'll take a look at the Mark 7 Golf R. A couple of differences between these two. I'll be talking about it in a little bit more detail, as well as letting you know a little bit more about the leasing options for these cars if you're interested. So let's get started and take a look at the GTI. Firstly, let's run over some headline numbers for the two cars, then we'll take a look at the iconic GTI before moving on to the big brother, the Golf R. At a very basic level, you've got a two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive car and a four-wheel drive car with VW's 4Motion. Both of these have the 6-speed manual gearboxes. In the GTI, we've got 220 PS and 350 Newton meters. In the R, we're up 80 to 300 PS and up 30 Newton meters to 380. So more oomph from the R, which is why we're going to start with the GTI. So this car, basic on the road, about £28,500. GTI, very distinct because all the way through the different generations up to this, the Mark 7, you've got some signature sort of features. The red stripe across the front grille that goes out into the headlights, for example. The GTI font and badging that's never changed ever since the first one 40 years ago. As I come around and show you the interior, a couple more things in here too. Unlock it keyless, very high spec from the word go as well, but I'll talk more about that in a moment. You've got the tartan finish to the seats that again they've had since the very beginning, and you've got this sort of very round gear stick, or gear knob I should say, again that's been with the GTIs all the way through. Come have a look at how the cars look from the rear. I mean, some immediate differences. Twin exhaust pipes, quad exhaust pipes on the R, both of these being the 5-door hatches. Cars also available in 3-door and estate platforms, or with the DSG double clutch gearbox systems as well. So in a moment I'm going to jump into the GTI and get started taking it out onto the road. Let's drive the Mark 7 Golf GTI then. So the Golf, well, the Mark 7 itself launched about 4 years ago, which was at the time the 38th anniversary of the Golf itself. So there's quite a long story, history and heritage with this car. GTIs obviously have always been pretty well known for their sporty characteristics, and 220 PS certainly packs a good little punch to get there. 6.5 seconds to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour, top speed 152 miles an hour. All for under £30,000, so quite a nice overall package, and it comes very highly specified from the word go. You've got loads and loads of technology options, safety options. The nav system, for example, is standard in the GTI, but not in the R for whatever reason. The gearbox, it feels very, very taut. Everything's nicely sort of connected and put together, and immediately there's quite a sort of sporty characteristic. The pedals and throttle response is all sort of quite immediate, sensitive, which makes it quite exciting to drive, but that's exactly what this is supposed to be, an evolution of the previous generations. I think the Mark 7 itself is often referred to as evolutionary rather than revolutionary, because they took what was already a pretty solid platform, refined it a little bit further, and made it into something even more rounded and sort of well finished. And I mean, straight away, quiet, comfortable, driving in normal mode, completely gentle sort of place to be. It's all great in here so far. We've got some dynamic controls we can change. We can play around and put it into a slightly more sporty drive mode, or play with individual settings. And that's the same between the two cars as well. So to do that, you press the drive mode button just to the left of the gear stick. Then you've got normal, eco mode, comfort mode, normal, sport and individual. I'm going to put it into sport, where everything should get a little bit more on side as well. If you go into individual, you can customize everything, and I'll hopefully show you that through in a moment. But sounds a little bit fruity as well, which is always good. It's what we like to see and hear, I suppose. So I suppose initial impressions so far, so good. We've got a lot of practicality to the interior, nice big door pockets, movable armrest, cup holders underneath this storage pocket, all sorts of things that you kind of really want in your normal drive, but it's quite fruity to drive as well. And you get a lot of the torque available from really early in the rev range too, which is nice. This kind of power is, I guess, way more than you could ever say you need, but enough to have some fun. I mean, 6.5 seconds to 62 is pretty quick. It wasn't that long ago that a proper sports car needed to have that. I mean, I know I used this reference to the sort of some of the ultra hot hatches like the Golf R reaching performances almost like supercars. Well, the sort of category slightly below that have caught up with where the old serious sports cars used to be. I mean, from a handling dynamics point of view, obviously with all the custom settings and things you can go through, there's a lot of control to it. Driving through some nice roads, it's quiet, well composed. Front wheel drive, I haven't pushed to its limits, I haven't sort of felt any sort of understeer or anything like that, obviously, in normal driving. I am really enjoying the world of hot hatch driving. Quite a hard one to explain, but it's just more something that you can go out and use and genuinely enjoy and not feel too bothered by. And when you've got a car that the performance you can actually use all of it, it's somehow more satisfying than knowing you're restricted by what the rules and laws obviously allow you to get away with. I found a country lane. Let's enjoy that, see how the car holds up, holds its own. It's quicker than you expect. Honestly, this is quite surprising. I don't initially think of a car with 220 horsepower and think, hey, that's going to be a really fun drive. But it's ticking quite a lot of boxes. Not a bad sound at all. When you're actually accelerating away, the car really kind of rewards you. I mean, like I said, all the sort of feel and interaction with the car is very taut, very tight, very nicely held together, and very sort of rewarding in terms of the feedback. Not bad at all, but let's head back because it's time to take a look at the Golf R. We've got the two cars together again. I have to say, I've been pleasantly surprised by the GTI. So next up is going to be the big brother, but before I do so, just a quick shout out for Pendle Leasing, who made this video possible, and the future videos hopefully to come in this series. Of course, leasing is a way to know upfront what your costs of the car are going to be. You get one sort of fixed payment amount that you're going to know. There are not going to be any surprise costs, and I'm going to pop a link down below where you can see some of their sort of options for different Golf models, whether it's the R, the GTI, or some of the more regular engine variants that you might be interested in too. So the Golf R, the big brother, 4-wheel drive, that's the big difference, as is a little bit more power. Let's take a quick look around the car now then, before we jump in and take it for a drive, and just look at some of the sort of visual differences between the R and the GTI, and you can immediately see the sort of lower bumper area has a different appearance to it. Of course here, a little bit more cooling needed to support that improved engine. It's still the 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder, but this time of course with 300 PS, 380 Newton meters. So your 0 to 62 time down to 5.1 seconds, and it would be 4.9 if you had the optional DSG double clutch as well. You've obviously got enlarged brakes, you've got the nice R symbol down there on the caliper, hiding behind the new wheels. Again, we've got the 5-door here, and as I mentioned before, more by way of exhaust tips at the rear, and just a slightly more pronounced glossy rear bumper. I'll come a little bit closer so you can see that over the top of the exhaust tips. So the R was introduced for the Mark 6 Golf, this time round being the Mark 7. I'll just open the door quickly so we can see the interior before we fire it up and head on out. So much the same, slightly sportier seats with side bolstering, very familiar, this time without the red highlights that were distinct to the GTI. So, go time. The first observation in here is how much more bitey the clutch pedal is. And in fact, all of the pedals are obviously more sensitive, so you have to be more accurate and precise with your inputs. But that is because this is the top of the range sports model. The Golf R comes atop the GTI, and obviously it's about driving experience, so that is not a surprise. Now, the GTI has had over 40 years to establish itself as a brand, whereas the R is obviously only in its second generation, so there's a long sort of way to go. But initially, from the interior, you've lost the sort of red highlights and instead replaced them with blue. So we've got blue needles on the dials, we've got a blue ring on the top of the gear lever here, and the gear lever itself is no longer the sort of golf ball style. It's finished now with a carbon fibre effect leather, and you've got a lot more noise in here. Put my foot down. And quite a decent amount of power too. So it's very much positioned towards performance and sporty driving. So I'm on the perfect road to be trying this car right now. Lots of twists, countryside, so pretty rough, and I can feel that I'm being sort of pushed around a little bit more than in the GTI. But this car, interestingly, only starts just over £3,000 more expensively, so it's not a sort of huge amount. But it does come with a lower base specification. So in the GTI and some of the other specs, you get things like the nav for standard, whereas in here it's an £800 option. But it has that sort of instant driver focus characteristic to it. It's all set up to be, you know, properly enjoyable. So I'm going to press the drive mode button and put it in individual, where we can change some of the options in here. And it's set up a mixture of sport and normal. Actually, I'm going to change that and put it into race mode this time, not sport. So race presumably is geared towards a properly exhaust change from the word go. Some sort of crazy rumbles going on behind. Didn't see that coming at all. I'm actually going to turn around because I want to drive that road again. I'd say it feels really, really dialed in, and the sound is pretty good too. I mean, this is the kind of environment where these kind of cars really, really win. You're quite small, so easily positionable, and the steering in here is great as well. You've got an amount of power that you can actually use and get up towards the top of the red line. Sometimes, I guess, in the GTI, you might feel like you wish you had a tiny bit more. In here, it's still an amount you can use. You're never going to feel like you actually need to go faster. I mean, 300 horsepower, it's quite a large number from the word go. This car, I suppose, just over 5 seconds to 62 miles an hour. That kind of gives you an idea of how quick it is. The DSG would be a touch faster as well, but it's all very much performance orientated. It's very much the kind of car that you just want to grasp and enjoy it. You know, tight twisty corners and roads here, four-wheel drive doing its thing, and then away you go again. There's a lot of torque. You really, really, really do feel that push in the back of your lower back from the sports seats in here. But it's nice to blip, and away we go again. So as a package, this is working really, really well. This kind of environment, this is the perfect kind of car for it. I find the difference, I think, between GTI and Golf R, the price point. I don't know the exact options list, so when you compare it like for like, and you spec up the R, I'm not sure where you'll end up to with regards to the GTI. But for the extra 80 horsepower, 30 newton meters, the exhaust, the looks, everything with the R, unless you were sort of really for the GTI brand, I think I would be trying to push for the R model itself for me. Although I think what did surprise me was how good the GTI was as well. I mean, these cars have been refined, they're built so well. Everything about them really comes together very, very well in this kind of car, this kind of environment. Don't really know what more you could want. Here it gets super tight and twisty, and I love driving small little hatchbacks in this kind of environment because you can just use it without worrying so much about the width and size of your car, what's going to happen if you smash off a door mirror. I mean, it's never going to be a fun thing to do, obviously, but in here it's way less of a problem than, let's say, in a supercar. But I think cars, and I try and say this quite often these days, driving experiences are not necessarily about how fast your car is and how powerful your car is. And I think we're establishing that in this sort of world where the manual gearbox seems to be coming back, whether it's your Porsches, your Aston Martins, whatever brand it may be. A lot of companies are trying to make a car that is built for people who just like driving. And a car like this fits that niche. This is a car, a hatchback, that has its charm, that has its fun, and has its driving experience. I'm going to head back now though, put the cars back together, have a kind of wrap-up thought of how they compare and how today's been, and show you a little bit more of the interior. Return to base, so let me show you a little bit more about the interior. We're in the R, the GTI is just parked alongside. You can see those blue needles I was referring to earlier. There's actually an awful lot of information you can have on the central display up there. I'll show you the drive mode quickly. The mode selector just down here to the left of the gear stick, where you've got those different settings, and in individual you can then change. You could actually hear that getting louder from the word go. Scroll that down. Interior engine sound is the one I want to bring attention to, because of course the sound is slightly computerized onto the inside here. That doesn't sound bad. We'll pop back. You've got all the sort of usual stuff you'd expect to have. We're in Milton Keynes near VW's UK base, but all the different things you could ever want in here. Quite a nice little interface setup as well. Start button there. Show you the key quickly. This is the R key, of course. Nice little R badges front and back. The GTI has a GTI badge instead, but the same key. We've got some carbon fibre style, well, they're not carbon fibre, but finished design, glossy inlays there. Let's whistle through what you can have on the display. So you can go through all sorts of different modes. There's actually a hilarious amount of things you can have in here. Well, that didn't do very much. Lap timer, obviously the R. It is race focused, driving data. Go up and down, you've got all sorts of things here. Travel time, range, consumption, temperatures. Average speed 16 miles an hour, great. That's because I'm parking it up to take photos like this and shoot videos. You can go look at the assistance system, so the distance control in front, it has a safety system with that. Actually, this is a nice list. So we've got lane assist, blind spot monitoring, rear traffic alert, front assist. Okay, basically the point is there are lots and lots of safety systems in here, and then you can go into nav and all of that stuff too. So there's an awful lot. Just from a sort of basic point of view, obviously all the window controls, very, very big door pockets, speakers. Mirror controls are on here, which I find a little bit funny, because moving the mirror, you're used to sort of doing it when you're looking. It's not, whatever, small things. And then you've got a cruise control, volume, and your stalks and whatnot around. So everything more or less, I guess how you'd expect it. I'll jump out, show you the boot and just the rears of the two cars for, I guess, slightly further comparison. Not too much to tell them apart then when you're sort of looking from the rear angle. I'll just come around and show you inside the boot of the GTI, so you can see roughly what the sort of storage space and setup is like. Obviously decent amount. You've got a through load system, rear split folding seats. It's under here. Spare wheel, of course. Actually, that's an additional shelf, so you can presumably drop the shelf height down. Yeah, there we go. Have even more luggage space, but it's nicer to have it higher, because then you have the if I can balance this in, then you have the, I guess, easy, just put things straight in without having to drop them down inside. So, close that back up. And, yeah, take in the two cars. I mean, this has actually been really interesting driving them back to back. I think for me, every time, it's a pretty easy winner. It's the R, just more R, more driving, more excitement. But the GTI was pretty impressive in its own right. More than enough power, more than enough of an enjoyable drive. So this has been an awful lot of fun. Hope you've enjoyed this look at, I suppose, two slightly more everyday attainable cars than the regular supercars, all thanks to Pendle Leasing. Make sure you check them out. The link is down below with a little bit more information about leasing in general and about offers on these too. So thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Make sure you're subscribed. Come back for more videos very soon. Cheers.